from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello and welcome to the National News. We are coming to you live from the National News Studio of Rupavahini. I'm Anjali Ananda. Joining me is Niket Karunaratna. And these are the top stories which have made headlines for tonight. The President says the time has come for all Sri Lankans to act as one in order to overcome the existing challenges. The Governor of the Central Bank says he would resign from his post if political stability is not established in the country. The International Monetary Fund prepares to conduct talks on the technical level with Sri Lanka continuously. The opposition leader says he is ready to act as a Prime Minister if the President resigns. The National People's Power extends support for an interim government. A crucial meeting of party leaders has been conducted today. Fuel distribution will resume tonight. The United States promises $40 billion of economic and military aid to Ukraine. Now on this top story for tonight, the Presidential Media Division has announced that the island-wide curfew, which is currently being enforced, will be relaxed from tomorrow at 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. and it will be reinforced at 2 p.m. till the 7 a.m. on the following day, that is the 13th of May, Friday.
The Presidential Media Division informs that accordingly, the President's Media Division has informed that no person is allowed to be on any public road, railway, public park, public recreation ground or other public ground or the seashore except under the authority of a written permit granted by an authorized officer. The police and the army have strengthened security in every part of the island. Roadblocks are being erected in major cities. The army have strengthened security in every part of the island and roadblocks have been erected in major cities. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, issuing a Twitter message, says the time has come for Sri Lankans to join hands with one another to overcome the economic, social and political challenges faced by all of us. The President has also requested all citizens to defeat the attempts of certain groups to direct the hardships of the masses towards destructive motives with the objective of fulfilling petty objectives. The Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne says legal measures will be taken against those who are responsible for the killing of persons, assaulting and setting fire to properties by making use of CCTV footages and video clips. The Defence Secretary at a media briefing today said that although they have not taken stern action for a period of nearly 48 hours, the occurrence of chaotic incidents has been halted with the decision taken last evening. The Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne said that the police and the army did not take any measure to control the protests. If it is necessary to punish a former leader of the country, then there is a code of law to do so. The culprits should be brought before the courts and punished. They could not be tried throughout of state courts. He further said that the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa had arrived at Galface after the incidents of assaulting. He said that they could not approve the reception received by the opposition leader. Other politicians have also visited the scene, but they have not met with such a response. The agitators had tried even to storm the temple trees, but the army and the police controlled the situation. He further said that the police will conduct full investigations into the incidents of the inhumane assaulting and setting up on houses on fire. The CCTV footage will be used in the inquiries. They will not consider whether the offences were carried out by the opposition parties. All the culprits will be brought before the law. Even those who shared information in an inappropriate manner via the internet will also be dealt with according to the law. There were 3 parties at the scene. One of them was the police. The other group was the violent agitators and the rest were spectators. When there are 5 policemen at a scene of protest, they are unable to function as supermen. Even DIG Deshabandhu Tennakon, as well as Inspector of the Fort Police Station, was severely assaulted. Now the police and the army have been given the powers to deal with any type of violent protests. The country is gradually returning to normalcy. No incident was reported yesterday. He also expressed hope of removing the curfew tomorrow morning. He has called the people to remain patient.
අවශ්‍ය සාක්ෂි දෙනවා ඒ සියලුම අයවලුන්ට ඒව ෂෙයා කරපු අයටත් විරුද්ධව ඉදිරියේදී යම් දිනයක නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන බව මම ඊටාත්ම වගකීමෙන් යුතුව ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
Army Commander General Shavindra Silva said that he has made an earnest appeal from the general public to extend cooperation to the security forces in their He has also pointed out that few police officials of a police station are unable to control violent acts conducted by thousands of protesters at a location. He has called on all citizens to extend support to the police and the defence divisions in order to protect human lives and properties. Chief of Staff of Defence Forces and Army Commander General Shavindra Silva has also expressed opinions on this occasion.
නමුත් ප්‍රචණ්ඩකාරීන් ආපු ප්‍රචණ්ඩකාරී ස්වභාවය ඔබතුමන්ලා දකින්න ඇති. එතකොට එතන පොලිස් නිලධාරීන් 5 දෙනෙක් ඉන්නකොට පොලිස් නිලධාරීන් කියන්නේ යුනිෆෝම් එකක් ඇඳගෙන නම්බරයක් ගහගත්ත පමණින් සුපර්මෑන් කෙනෙක් වෙන කෙනෙක් නෙමෙයි. ඔබ දැක්ක ඊයේ කොහොමද දේශබන්දු තෙන්නකොන් නිලධාරීතුමාට ඊයේ ගහපු ගැහිල්ල. ඒ වගේම අර කොටුවේ එලෝ ඉන්ස්පෙක්ටර් කෙනෙකුට බිම දදා ගහපු හැටි ඒ මිනිස්සයා පණ රැක ගන්න දූපු හැටි දැක්කා. ඉතින් මේ වගේ ඒවල් වෙනකොට 1000කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක් ඇවිල්ලා මේ විදිහ එකක් කරනකොට එතන ඉන්න පොලිස් නිලධාරීන් 4-5 දෙනා මොනවා කරන්නද? දැන් පොලිසියත් යුද හමුදාවලු බල ගන්නවලා බලය දීලා තියෙනවා මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ක්‍රියා කරන. ඉතින් මං හිතනවා ආයේ වගේ කිසිම ක්‍රියාවක් නොදකින්න ලැබේවා කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ රට සාමාන්‍ය තත්වයට පත් වෙමින් තියෙනවා. මං හිතන්නේ කිසිම සිද්ධියක් වාර්තාව නැව සුළු සිද්ධීන් කීපයක් ඇරෙන්න මිනිස්සු මරන්න ගහන්න කුඩු කරන්න ඉන්න කට්ටිය කවුරුත් දැන් පේන්න නැහැ. පේන්න එන්න දෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. මං හිතනවා හෙට උදේ ඇඳිරි නීතිය අපිට ඉවත් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක සමහර විට අපි ඉවත් කරලා යම් කිසි කාල සීමාවකට නැවත පනවන්න පුළුවන්. අපහසුතාවයේ තිබුණත් ආරක්ෂාව නැතුව මොනතරම් පහසුකම් තිබුණත් වැඩක් නැහැ. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා මම ඊ타ත්ම ආදරයෙන් ගෞරවයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා අපේ රටේ රටවැසියන්ගෙන් ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් විඳ දරාගෙන ඉන්න. ඔබට නිදහසේ ගමන් කරන්න පුළුවන් පරිසරයක් ඇති කරපු ගමන් අපි ඇඳිරි නීතිය ඉවත් කරනවා.
ජනතාවත්
Army Commander General Shavindra Silva said that he has made an earnest plea from the general public to extend cooperation to the security forces in their tasks to safeguard the private and state properties. He has requested people not to come to roads unnecessarily and not to obstruct the duties of security force personnel. He has called on all to remain in their homes. He further said that some people have questioned about using baffle vehicles by the army for security duties. He has responded by saying that these vehicles carry soldiers and they are needed to maintain law and order.
ඉතින් ඒ සඳහාත් ඒ අවස්ථාව ලැබුණම් පස්සෙත් මහ ජනතාව බුද්ධිමත්ව ක්‍රියා කරමින් ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාවට සහ පොලිසියට සහයෝගය දක්වන්න කියලා අපි ඉතාමත්ම කාරුණිකව අපේ බුද්ධිමත් ජනතාවගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
How will you go on to protect Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa?
As long as he lives. He is entitled for that with the constitution. Any past president is entitled for his security contingent, depending on the threat level.
Now, the central bank governor, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, says that he will not remain in the post if the political parties and other stakeholders are unable to ensure political stability in the country.
He emphasized that the present instability in the country has severely impacted the economic revival and the situation is expected to worsen in the coming days.
A media briefing was held with the participation of the Governor of Central Bank, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, to brief on the present situation and the economic outlook in the country. He pointed out that the instability triggered from the series of incidents occurred on last Monday has pushed the country into a worsening condition.
If you can remember, when I took over this position about a month ago, we had these economic issues and we were facing balance sheet crisis at that point with the expectation of turning around the situation with some policy measures and with the IMF and with this occurring. The early expectation was that while we are embarking on this kind of a turning around economic policy program and macro program and all some measures, as I mentioned at the beginning, I also expected kind of a political stability within a short period of time. But unfortunately, even after 1 month, we don't see a clear improvement and progress towards addressing on one part social unrest, another part political stability. It has got worsened. And the events that happened last Monday escalated this instability towards a different level, unfortunately. So that is the situation now we are in. Some of the measures that we did, soon after we tightened the monetary policy, we announced a debt standstill and we got some relief in terms of meeting debt service obligations, at least until we come to a consensus on debt restructuring. Now, while we were making this progress, incidents that happened last Monday now has taken a different turn.
The central bank governor said that progressive efforts were taken following his appointment to implement a mechanism to further strengthen the economy. He further indicated that agreement was reached following discussions with the banking sector last week to maintain the foreign exchange at a reasonable level and over the mechanisms to retain the dollar earnings of the exporters within the banking system in the country. The governor urged the public to limit expenses only for essentials at this crucial juncture.
Our plans, what we are going to introduce to stabilize especially the foreign exchange situation. The first one, if you can remember, as I mentioned even earlier, to ban the open account foreign exchange transactions and also some conditions on DA and DB terms. That circular has already been issued by the Minister of Finance and it will be fully effective from 20th of May. So what we expect from that to discourage the informal market activities which is happening outside the banking system, and as a result the exchange rate could be stabilized sooner, and also the premium between the black market and the grey market can also be reduced. And it will also make available a lot more foreign exchange into the formal banking channel so that we can allocate, or banking sector can allocate that available foreign exchange to finance all the essential imports. That is what is needed for the public right now. In addition, we had a consultation with all the bank treasurers and discussed how to stabilize the volatility in the foreign exchange market. Daily basis, currency was depreciating by 10 rupees, 12 rupees, there's a huge volatility. So to minimize that volatility while not disturbing the market forces, we all agreed. In fact, this proposal came from the bankers that if the central bank can give some guidance on daily movements of the exchange rate in terms of some kind of a direction where we would like the exchange rate to be in the interbank market first within the day. Also that will help the banks to give some guidance outside the interbank market, for example to the imports and exporters. So this is where from next week onwards or even from tomorrow onwards, what we are going to do and issue operating instructions. We try to minimize that margins also. So there will be a direction by your bank supervision department on fees and margins, commissions of commercial banks that they charge from the clients. We give some instructions and directives even for the customer, importer or exporter. Your margin also should be reasonable and fair. So we monitor all these things. That is other measure we are going to now. So we will implement this from soon. We were planning to implement this from last Tuesday, by Monday, because of this incident that was delayed. But sooner we are going to introduce that new mechanism. We hope that all the stakeholders, the bankers, exporters and importers will certainly cooperate with us. And we will have a strong monitoring mechanism to ensure, because we will issue operating instructions, then everyone will have to follow these operating instructions going forward. So what we have clearly is a violation of some of the earlier circulars. Once export proceeds are sold to a commercial bank, it is the right of the commercial bank to make a decision how to allocate that money and also we asked them to give priority to allocate that money for only essential imports.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, addressing the nation, requests the people to extend the support at this difficult moment for the maintenance of safe day-to-day life of the general public. He further said that Sri Lanka is facing its gravest crisis in history.
මහා සංඝරත්නයන් අවසරයි අන්‍යාගමික පූජකතුමනි මව්වරණි.
The President further said that one of the common proposals presented by numerous groups was to set up a new government by a majority of parties representing the parliament. He added that in the recent past he conducted discussions with numerous groups. Accordingly, he accepted their opinions and decided to take the difficult and stern decisions. He added that accordingly, when appointing the recent cabinet of ministers, he removed large number of senior ministers and 2 ministers of the Rajapaksa clan. A cabinet comprising of young parliamentarians was appointed. The Prime Minister as well as the cabinet have resigned. However, by the 9th of this month, an unfortunate situation has occurred. As everybody knows, many chaotic incidents were reported from all parts of the island. As a result, curfew was imposed and the 3 armed forces were put on alert. The agitations were carried out in an organized manner throughout the country. Within a few hours, 9 persons were killed in an inhumane manner, including a parliamentarian. Nearly 300 persons were injured and admitted for treatment in hospitals. Many houses were set on fire and robberies have taken place all over. The President further said that he strongly rejects such savage incidents without any party differences. He added that the IGP has been given instructions to commence inquiries. However, nobody is able to justify the barbaric incidents including murders, assaults, intimidations, property destructions and other forms of crimes. He also said that he has been taking measures to restore peace through coordinators of Defence Secretary, heads of the 3 armed forces, heads of the intelligence divisions and the Defence Council. The main responsibility of the government at this moment is to establish the security of all citizens. Therefore, the 3 armed forces and the police have been given orders to take stern action against violators of the law. Steps will also be taken against those who planned and propagated the violent actions. The President has called upon all to move away from acts of sabotage. He has requested the responsible citizens of the country to condemn those who spread hatred. All measures are being taken to establish the security of the state and to restore political stability. He further said that he is acting in collaboration with all party leaders. He also said that he is taking measures to set up a new government to save the country from anarchy and to recommence the stalled activities. The President also said that within this week, a group which won the confidence of the majority of the parliament will be invited to form the government and to appoint a new cabinet of ministers. He also said that constitutional amendments will be made on the 19th amendment. He added that many groups have requested to abolish the presidential system. He further said that when the new government was formed, he would conduct talks with all parties concerned regarding the abolition of presidency. He has requested all to extend support to prevent a collapse of the country and to maintain the state mechanism. The President has wished the blessings of the Triple Gem to the entire countrymen.
මේ මාස 9 වෙනි සඳුදා දින උදෑසන ඔබ සියලුම දෙනාම දන්නා පරිදි තාවාසනාවන්ත තත්වයක් ඇති වුණා. මේ සිද්ධියට පස්සේ සිද්ධිය පාදක කරගෙන ඉතාමත්ම සුළු වේලාවක් තුල දිවයින පුරාම කලාකාරී සිද්ධීන් ඇතිවෙන්නට පටන් ගත්තා. ඇඳිල් නීතිය පනවලා
The International Monetary Fund says technical talks with Sri Lanka will be carried forward continuously. It further says the aim is to enter into policy discussions after the appointment of the new cabinet of members. IMF representatives in Sri Lanka, Masahiro Nozaki, has issued a media communique regarding the situation in Sri Lanka and the discussion program. He added that the technical round of talks scheduled to be conducted till the 23rd of May will be carried out without any obstructions. The representative further said the organization is watching closely the situation in Sri Lanka and expressed commitment to extend support to the country according to the policies of the organization.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, delivering a special statement today, said that he is ready to accept duties as Prime Minister if the President resigns. Samagi Janabalawegaya leader Sajith Premadasa said that the request of the majority of the people of the country is that Gotabaya Rajapaksa should resign from the post of President. He added that they are not prepared to accept any responsibility until the President resigns from the post. He further said that they are ready to give leadership to the program of moving the country to prosperity after taking over the government. The people's request for the resignation of the President will have to be definitely taken place prior to them assuming duties in the government. This request of the people should be acceded immediately. The opposition leader also said Mahinda Rajapaksa, using state-sponsored terrorism, has killed some agitators. He added that the IGP should investigate this act of brutality with a sense of transparency. The law will have to be enforced disregarding ranks. He has called on the commanders-in-chief of the three armed forces, the IGP and other defence sections not to leave room for any acts of violence. He has also requested all citizens not to turn towards violent acts and to engage in peaceful and democratic agitations. The Samagi Janabalawegaya says Sajith Premadasa is prepared to assume duties as Prime Minister in the event of resignation of the President.
Parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala has made these remarks at a media briefing in Colombo today. Parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala said that the question people are asking today, what is the need of a president who is unable to safeguard the lives and property of the nation? He added that the government had delayed by 24 hours measures to safeguard the lives of the people. Due to this delay, lives of parliamentarians of the Pohottuwa party were lost and there had been several incidents of destructions of properties. He further said that they believe that the party's no confidence motion could be won by the majority of votes than anticipated earlier. Lakshman Kiriyala further said the United Nations has issued a communique requesting to conduct an immediate investigation into the assaulting incident carried out by the gangs in the temple trees. Now, General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara, says his party is ready to extend support if opposition leader Sajith Premadasa assumes duties in the post of Prime Minister.
He has made these remarks after a meeting with the Mahanayaka Thera of the Ramanya Nikaya. Parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara said that he has conducted talks with the Mahanayaka Thera regarding the program on the appointment of a Prime Minister and a new government. He also said that they, as the SLFP, would extend support at this moment if opposition leader Sajith Premadasa accepted the responsibility of forming a government. The country could not be turned into anarchy. He further said that his party is hoping to conduct talks with the leaders of the 11 parties. It is more appropriate at this moment to take leadership rather than to uphold the opinion of not receiving the prime ministerial portfolio until the resignation of the President. He added that the President has invited the opposition to form a government. If they don't accept his request, then they have to think about the next move. Dayasiri Jayasekara further said that the resignation of the President would drive the country to a further ungovernable situation. In such an event, the Parliament will have to convene without a leader. Venerable Omalpe Sobita Thera said that the mediation of the opposition leader is the #1 priority to resolve the issue. The next step should be a meeting of the party leaders without delay. Everybody has a serious responsibility to overcome the challenges. The Venerable Thera further said that if there are public objections over the opposition leader's appointment, the opposition leaders should take a decision by taking into consideration the interests of the country. The well-being of the country and the people should come forward instead of power hunger. A member of the Samagi Janabalawegaya could also be presented instead of the opposition leader. If that is not possible, then a national list member should be brought forward. Former Minister Dallas Alhaperuma says Sri Lanka is fast becoming a lawless country as a result of the attempts of certain members of the government to apply high-handed thuggery and violence against the group of protesters.
These agitators have been engaged in democratic protests in front of the Presidential Secretariat for a period of 1 month. The former minister, issuing a media communique, further says that the uncivilized attack had already entered in black letters in the history of the motherland. Dallas Alhaperuma has reiterated the need to overcome the present crisis through the unity of all citizens. Quote from the communique of former Minister Dallas Alhaperuma under the title "Let's Rise Again from the Ashes," all politicians must realize the fact that any response to criticism should be made based upon noble principles. The violence being propagated throughout the country by burning houses, demonstrators, and the most dangerous direction of the present-day politics are heading. One of the most frightening souvenirs of this series of tragic incidents has been the loss of life of genuine village parliamentarian Atu Korala. At this crucial moment, the entire countrymen are fleeing the pressures of the greatest economic crisis faced by the country since independence. He has called upon all citizens in the name of humanity and without any party differences to extend their cooperation at this crucial juncture. The supremacy of law, the people's security and peace have collapsed. The people have been drawn towards acts of fury and harassment. All Sri Lankans must come into common agreement to maintain peaceful behavioral patterns. They must suppress their emotions for the sake of their children and future of the country. If the people acted without intelligence and determination in this unfortunate period, there would not have been a country for them. We must decide whether we want to write the history of country in dark lettering. Dallas Alhaperuma further said that the entire world is watching how the citizens are fulfilling their duties at this moment. So the people must commit themselves to safeguard the civilized and meritorious background of the country to the future as well. Leader of the National People's Power, Anurakkumara Dissanayake, says they are ready to set up an interim government under the leadership of the party with the cooperation of other parties.
He also said at a media briefing in Colombo today that they are also prepared to extend support by remaining in the opposition to an interim government formed by other parties. Leader of the National People's Power, Anurakkumara Dissanayake, said that the National People's Power has presented a series of proposals for the permanent resolution of the political instability prevailing in the country. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa must resign from the post of president immediately. The present speaker must function temporarily as an acting president, as currently there is no prime minister. These measures will have to be carried out according to the constitution. He added that the common masses will not accept governments formed under the guise of interim, all-party or any other manner in parliament. Accordingly, the people must be given the opportunity to elect a government of their choice through a new mandate within the next 6 months. The NPP leader also said that they are proposing an administration structure leading to the holding of an election. Attention is being focused on 2 factors in this regard. The first and foremost is to end the existing political crisis and ungoverning status and to direct the country on a new path. The National People's Power is ready to take over the responsibility in this regard. Therefore, the NPP should be given the opportunities to set up an interim government in Parliament without obstructions. The interim government to be formed should be agreed upon by other political parties as well. Anurakkumara Dissanayake further said that under such circumstances, the NPP would extend support by remaining in the opposition and without becoming a partner of the government. The reason being that the existing unstable condition could not be carried forward any further. The NPP leader added that in order to diffuse the restlessness prevailing in the country, first of all, those who were responsible for perpetrating a conspiracy in Temple Trees should be immediately arrested.
Now, the number of persons killed in the recent clashes have increased to 9. The Ministry of Defence further says that 219 persons were injured and 41 incidents of setting up on fire the vehicles have also been reported. There have also been 61 incidents of causing damages to vehicles and 136 incidents of destructions to other properties. Some incidents were reported yesterday as well. A group has attacked and set fire to the residence of chairman of the Ratgama Pradeshya Sabha G. Nimal last night. 6 persons were injured in a shooting incident at the residence and admitted to Karapitiya Hospital. Our correspondent says Carlton building on the Tangol Beliata Road as well as the hotel in Midil Tangol was set on fire. A statue of D.A. Rajapaksa in the Tangol was also destroyed. Kirulapana residence of singer Irajvi Ratna was also attacked. An attack has also been launched on the main office of the Avantgarde Private Defence Service. Now, the Golf Face protest campaign is being conducted for the 33rd day. Today, people coming in groups are engaged in agitations in front of the Presidential Secretariat. Protests were conducted last night as well. People were seen engaging in protest even at present.
According to the powers vested upon the President, secretaries have been appointed for 3 ministries with the objective of maintaining public life as usual. The directive has been in operation with effect from yesterday. Retired General Kamal Gunaratne has been reappointed as Secretary to the Ministry of Defence. Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security is Major General Jagat Alvis. K.M. Mahinda Sirivardhana has also been reappointed as the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance.
The Lanka Private Petroleum Tank Owners Association says fuel distribution is being carried out as usual. Co-Secretary of the association D.V. Shanta says measures are being taken to supply fuel in adequate quantities to all filling stations. Co-Secretary of the Lanka Private Petroleum Tank Owners Association, D.V. Shanta, said that the Petroleum Corporation has taken measures to temporarily halt fuel distribution after the tragic incident that took place last Monday. He added that 28 bowsers were filled with fuel by evening on Monday, but they were not allowed to proceed due to security reasons. He further said that fuel distribution activities have commenced since this afternoon. He has acknowledged that a somewhat shortage of diesel exists. The next ship carrying diesel to the island is scheduled to arrive on the 12th. Thereafter, the diesel problem will also be resolved. The co-secretary of the association further said in about 2 days from now, consumers would be able to purchase petrol from filling stations without difficulty. The Litro Gas Company says distribution, storage and marketing of Litro Gas are being carried out only through licensed distributing and marketing representatives of the company. The company considers any storage of gas by other sources as activities not conducted with the authority of the company.
The Indian High Commission of Sri Lanka has categorically denied speculative reports in social media about India sending troops to Sri Lanka. The High Commission points out that these reports and such views are not in keeping with the position of the government of India. Speculative reports were seen circulating on social media alleging that India is preparing to send troops to Sri Lanka. The reports were based on a controversial tweet shared by a representative of India's ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy. The tweet became one of the highly debated topics both in Sri Lanka as well as in India. Accordingly, the Indian High Commission of Sri Lanka tweeted today rejecting the speculative reports over the alleged deployment of troops. Ministry of External Affairs of India in a statement yesterday said that India is fully supportive of Sri Lanka's democracy, stability and economic recovery. The High Commission also rejected the rumours circulating in sections of media and social media that certain political persons and their families have fled to India, fake and blatantly false reports devoid of any truth or substance.
Now, Pope Francis appeals for the people of Sri Lanka to make their voices heard in the peaceful manner and for political leaders to heed their demands as protests turned violent, killing several people. Pope Francis turned his thoughts to the South Asian nation while speaking at the general audience held today at the Vatican. The Pope said he sends his greetings especially to the young people who in recent times have made their cry heard in the face of the country's social and economic challenges and problems. Pope Francis said he urged all parties to maintain a peaceful attitude without yielding to violence. Pope Francis also called on Sri Lanka's ruling political leaders to heed the voices of protesters. United Nations
Mi unisco a quelle autorità religiose nell'esortare tutte le parti in causa a mantenere un atteggiamento pacifico, senza cedere alla violenza. Faccio appello a tutti coloro che hanno responsabilità perché ascoltino le aspirazioni della gente, garantendo il pieno rispetto dei diritti umani e delle libertà civili. Spiritu Sanctus.
United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights has called on the authorities in Sri Lanka to prevent further violence and urged restrain the meaningful dialogue to address the grievances of the population amid the severe economic crisis in the country. Michelle Bachelet said that she is deeply troubled by the escalation of violence in Sri Lanka after supporters of the Prime Minister attacked peaceful protesters in Colombo on the 9th of May and the subsequent mob violence against members of the ruling party. The High Commissioner also called on the authorities to prevent further violence and to protect the right to peaceful assembly. Michelle Bachelet further said that the state has the responsibility to ensure the right to life and to exercise due diligence to protect the lives of individuals against violence by private individuals or entities. The severe economic crisis has made daily life a struggle for most Sri Lankans. It has also highlighted grievances which require national dialogue and deeper structural reforms. Michelle Bachelet also added that the United Nations Human Rights Office will continue to closely watch and report on the situation in the country. She expressed hope that Sri Lanka would find a peaceful solution to the current crisis to alleviate people's suffering, strengthen democracy and human rights and prevent further violence.
A virtual meeting of party leaders was held today to discuss on the present situation in the country. Speaker Mahindayapa Abewardena has presided over the event. However, an agreement could not be reached at the meeting and therefore the Speaker has decided to convene another meeting of the party leaders tomorrow. We'll continue with foreign news after this short break.
Hot and spicy, trending fashion or navy, rasa baby, papare beat ke, Saturday ko tumhe Punjabi.
வெளிநாட்டிலிருந்து அனுப்பும் பணத்தினை மக்கள் வங்கிக்கு அனுப்பினால் பரிசு குவியல்கள். பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம். அனுப்புங்கள், வெல்லுங்கள்.
Welcome back, and now for foreign news. The United States Congress has approved a $40 billion aid package for Ukraine. The package was backed by every voting Democrat and by nearly 3 out of 4 Republicans. The new funding is $7 billion, more than President Joe Biden's $33 billion request 2 weeks ago. It would give Ukraine military and economic assistance, help regional allies, and replenish weapons. The Pentagon has shipped overseas and provided $5 billion to address global food shortages caused by the war's crippling of Ukraine's normally robust production of many crops. The new legislation would bring American support for Ukraine to nearly $54 billion, including $13.6 billion in support to Congress.
Our Indian Premier
That's all the news for today. Join us again at the same time tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.